us have been guilty of doing this at least once in our lives. How many of you have taken your phones out in class and decided, I'll just take a look? Maybe it was just for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 30 minutes. Eventually, repeating this action of taking out your phone and having a look or scrolling through your stuff wastes valuable time in the classroom where you could be learning. I hope none of you guys have taken your phones out and are looking at them right now. Before class, after class, and even during class, one person is likely to take their phones out. Cell phones have their benefits. However, they are also a major problem in the classroom. Today, we're going to talk about the problems cell phones bring to the classroom and why we should ban them in the classroom. We're going to discuss the problems they bring inside the classroom and discuss some possible solutions to this problem. Let's start off with the problems. One of the major problems of cell phones in the classroom is that they can get distracting, especially with young students. Jay Matthews, a columnist from the Washington Post on September 28, 2015, states that cell phones can get very distracting and are a major problem as students don't use them for educational purposes and prevent students from learning effectively. Jay Matthews explains in an interview about a teacher who says lectures aren't the same as they used to. Instead of being interactive between a teacher and a student, where a teacher would ask a question and students would answer, instead, students are giving non-responses. Problems with cell phones are that cell phones distract the student from what they're learning about and also break the bond between the student and the teacher. Lectures for this teacher used to be interactive. It would be a conversation between the teacher and the student. However, with cell phones, this breaks the bond. Paul W. Bennett from educhatter.com, accessed on October 31st, 2018, says that banning cell phones produced improvement in student performance. Although cell phones shouldn't be banned in school, they should be banned in the cell phones, where the heart of learning takes place. We walk around campus, and this isn't where we learn a lot of our stuff. Cell phones are great in this environment. However, classrooms are where they should be banned. All the attention should be focused on the teacher who's giving us this information, which we could use later on with very important skills. You might be thinking, cell phones and technology in general actually help us. I have a student planner on my phone. It's an app. It keeps all my stuff organized, and I could do research on my phone. But what if I told you that in class, cell phones aren't used this way, and instead, students use them for different purposes? For example, students use their phones in class to look up things on social media, text, or even browse music. I haven't seen anyone doing research in class, maybe after class, but not during class. Dr. Richard Freed, a psychologist on April 12, 2016, states that instead of using cell phones for educational purposes, students are using them for their digital amusement. Digital amusement is using social media, music, and other different types of apps that have nothing related to the lecture. As you can see on my visual aid, these are the uses of technology by college students. Now, the big ones that have 31% and 32% are social networking and cell phone. Now, I personally would put these together as one can't be without the other. A cell phone is a cell phone. You can use it to call, text, but also it has social networking as you have apps such as Facebook, Snapchat, and other stuff to connect with your friends. Now, this is a big concern as in classrooms, students use these two main technologies in the classroom, but they don't use it effectively. Dominic Russell from teachermagazine.com on April 17, 2018, writes about Stephen, a teacher in a college who uses his cell phone in an effective manner. For Stephen, he has all his documents and all his presentations on his phone, and he takes his documents and puts them into a computer, and that's where he uses it as effectively to teach his class. Now, Stephen is a great example of a person who uses a cell phone well in class, but we aren't Stephen. A lot of us aren't like Stephen and use their cell phones effectively. We waste our time on the cell phones instead of learning from our teachers. Unlike Stephen, many of us use our cell phones for the digital amusement. That's not good. Now that we talked about the problems, let's talk about some possible solutions to this problem. We have two solutions. We have a community level and a personal level. Thomas Diamantis from Wright State University on November 5th, 2018, states that policies can range from an all-out ban in classrooms to just partial bans. What's important about this is that there could be a limit between the bans. School districts have the power to ban cell phones all the way, completely ban them, or have limits to them. For example, one could ban cell phones completely from the classroom and have students not have cell phones at all. But also there could be a limit where students can just avoid taking out their cell phones during class, and punishments could be given to those who take them out. EnvironmentalHealthTrust.org, accessed on October 31st, 2018, says that countries such as France and other countries have been banning cell phones for two main goals: improving the learning environment, which is a good thing. You want to learn in classrooms. You don't want to waste your time being distracted by things that you can do later after school. And also, improving social interaction between students. John S. Ombrigor from the Journal of Technological Studies on October 31st, 2018, had a survey that shows only about 24% of principals in the US allow the use of cell phones in schools. Even without the ban, there's still many figures of power, including teachers and principals, who do not approve of the use of cell phones in classrooms. Rule changes aren't the only way that cell phones can be banned in the classroom. There's a more important one, a more personal one. You can make the personal change. Tao Jun Oh, on June 13th, 2017, said that self-control is important, especially in the classroom, as those who do poorly in classrooms also have a problem with self-control because they're distracted with cell phones. Self-control is very important, and cell phones are just getting in the way of this. Cell phones are like drugs. Once we're hooked, you become addicted and let it take control of us. Instead of letting it take over our lives in the classroom, we should break free in a place of knowledge. Classroom is very, very important for learning. This is where we get lectures from teachers who give us skills that we can use later in the future. You have the power, not the other way around. Cell phone use isn't just a small problem, it's a big one that impacts students in a negative way. Today, we talked about the problems cell phones have in the classroom and possible solutions to this problem, which range from a community level to a personal level. We must take control of our addictions and use devices appropriately by keeping them away from the classroom, as a classroom is a very important place where we should strive for a better future.